Good afternoon, dear colleagues. I would like to tell you about two instruments, two products that we are using in our practice. The first one is or instrument, migration instrument, I would say, from database management in Oracle to Postgres SQL environment. The second one is something which is actually the first one is based on, they are all registered in their local software register. They were developed by us. So I'm proceeding to my presentation now. Well, migration products for applied database from Oracle to Postgres SQL. As for the last 30 years, I would say that right now we are thinking more about import substitution, and now we would like to switch a little bit more from some foreign equivalents and some foreign products which are quite well known and popular and also used in our well-known local infrastructures. And now we are more and more oriented towards to our own products based on Elbrus and others. And there are some obstacles to that. The point is that over the past 30 years, a lot of applied systems have been developed, and inside there we have imported data management, database management system, and also Oracle. I should say that our company, and me specifically, over the past 30 years, we have contributed a lot to all that. We have been implementing Oracle for 30 years, and now we are going to do quite the opposite thing. So nothing personal, again, nothing personal. It's all just about business. The main point is that just help to perform you in this transition period from foreign products to our local ones. What about the main migration purpose? It's not a magic bullet, but at the same time, it's not a placebo either. We don't understand that we won't do with manual migration, and if we don't have certain Postgres opportunities to help us, the Oracle, we also need to simplify and automate manual labor of the engineers responsible for migration instruments. And if there are some equivalents in the market, then we should do everything we can to automate processes as much as possible, specifically migration process. As for the process itself, we decided to segregate this migration into three parts with different percentage of labor, manual labor. First of all, let's talk about migration of data and structures. I'm talking about tables, keys, indexes, integrity, constraints, domains, etc. The second one is migration of programs based on languages of database management system, Oracle, from Oracle to Postgres, from PL/SQL to PL/PG/SQL. And the third one is migration of programs in other languages. I'm talking about users interface, reports, graphs, and also different applications, web or native means of integration. And based on our experience, as for the very last level, labor, manual labor could go to 100%. It could be also zero, depending on actually what interface is based on. Both also during the previous presentation at this conference and also during conference over the past years, a lot has been said about for example, such a project as Aura 2PG developed in France, and we decided to take it as kind of a driving force, main agents for our instrument. Usually a migration process with the use of this converter looks like that. Aura 2PG written first reads its configuration file, and then the key of the connection or command string prepares it for Oracle, and of course a human being can actually correct it a little bit and then accomplish it in the database of Postgres. But in this process we have certain problems and questions. For example, how to install converter, and it's not a simple thing for a lot of operating systems. What about the constraints? What should be done manually, adjusted manually, and how we should share different pieces of work between employees, how we can share it in general, and how actually the boss can actually, or administrator can find out what's actually has already been accomplished. So we decided to take this OR2PG, this instrument, and we decided to kind of actually use our own cover on top of that. So what do we get with this approach? First of all, automatic conversion of to Postgres, and also substitution of command string by quite a friendly web interface. We have collective and multi-user environments for engineers working on the same migration process, and also the manager can segregate and distribute different tasks regarding migration amongst the specialists. They can control different versions, so we can support all 3 levels of migrations. And as for the output, here we have assembly of different scripts and script generators for multiple usage in the future in database management system in Postgres. Process of migration is not just an act. This is quite an iterated process, continuous one, and it can be done multiple times with the same application when we work with older and new version. How does it work? So it works in the following way. When we receive we do settings for the migration product, and we read all the objects stored in Oracle and to the database of Postgres, and then we distribute these objects amongst the participants of the project. And after that, project participants they use either automated migration, or if needed, they can also do some operations partially manually. Not all the objects can be exposed to such a procedure. Not all of them can migrate, but they should, because we talk about big systems we are exposed to, and they live for more than 1 decade, and we don't want to archive those documents. Of course, Postgres documents and compared to Oracle, it's not one-to-one proportion. Well, this proportion is quite different, you understand, yes? And the difference is huge. And the objects that are used for Postgres scripts, so they also store it in database of the project, and they have different versions, can be manually corrected. Mistakes can also be corrected in a manual mode. And at the output, we have a number of scripts to be used for the final process of migration. Of course, as for automated migration, it has quite a number of constraints, and these constraints we have learned to overcome them with 2 main approaches, through the means of modification of the objects stored in Oracle prior to the migration, or by means of modification of the scripts for them to be used in Postgres after migration, after the work, where we use our products. So, and here some of the basic examples, where we suggest or we use it prior to the migration and after auto migration. Another constraint here is, for example, triggers. Well, actually, there is quite a few constraints, but here we're talking about triggers or compound triggers that's triggered for certain line prior to the update, after the update, excuse me. And in these triggers, we have processes regarding different objects. It's not the case in Postgres, and we suggest it should be done in the following way. We can, which is absolutely safe for the initial application, we can decompose this trigger into components, and then they will migrate automatically. Another constraint is related to the function that has some certain parameters, and it can also modify some input parameters. And then what we might have in this case, this migration script that we receive as a result of auto migration, it should be adjusted a little bit manually, and then we will have to finalize this function. But it's not just about that, so we should do it, but also there will be certain calls that will be generated for these particular functions in other programs. So they will also have to be adjusted and be presented in the correct way in the whole body of the application. Here are some of the examples examples. As for the appearance of these screen forms, where actually system is stored and where the migration project is stored, here you can see there's quite a friendly web interface, imitating a little bit Microsoft in browser, and this done on the second product, and I will be talking about it a little bit later. As for the product development for migration is as follows. So we would like to cut down on the manual migration by 70% for the server code due to the use of some modern programs and certain other tools that we have right now. Do you remember that examples that I brought forward a little bit earlier? That one where we have to substitute all the incorrect calls with proper one. And here we, of course, need to think more about SQL grammar, and we should also add a bit of a practical side to it, some practical grammar. And then in this case, this kind of auto migrations, of course, will be feasible and possible, but at the same time with much less participation of people. And the last but not the least, as support of client's module migration with the help of dynamic automated services, translators. We have seen such a situation when application actually generates something, I mean SQL, PL/SQL, just like this, so the spur of the moment, and they should be interpreted in the correct way. It means that here we need a converter, online converter that could actually work following comments from the applied system. And to do that, we plan to use automated broadcasting services, so that we also take into consideration certain the language grammars. This is one of the development directions. Now go back to our product, something that our interface is based on. As for this product, Live Universal Interface, we have already made a presentation about that during some previous lectures back in 2020 and 2019.
So what that is a tool that allows those developers who know not only SQL, create a complex web application. So the development and the production environment, that's all web. And there is connection to different databases, even by different suppliers with or vendors. So fixing the maintenance and the testing tools. So this tool is similar to Oracle Forms and Oracle Apex. So this tool thereby plays an important role in migration of the third level. So it allows creating different forms for editing, for search, for lists, for hierarchies, hierarchical lists, matrices, and there are different elements, and there is declarative computation language, and we can use SQL, we can use JSON, we can use JavaScript, in its declarative notion, just to not disturb database. And therefore, declarative approach is topped by dynamic calculation of values. So that's why it's called Live Universal Interface. You can check out more detailed information on website, and I'll try to demonstrate live, demonstrate what we can show. Well, Semminal, which is something that's been done within the last 2 waves of coronavirus. So what's the point in data when you cannot look at them and assess them quickly? So this is the screen view, and there is a list has been created with the help of this tool. Year, month, region, federal region, and some indicators. And here you can create different curves. Well, it's not done by the developer, it's done by the end user. So, for instance, I need to receive some grouped indicators like weather, by location, and by region. And here there is a group function, sum. And here I said that I need a column diagram in one part of the window. On the right-hand side of the window, I need a map. So how it works. So you see there is a grouped list with following hierarchy rules. And here we have the diagram. Map will load soon. We store map in GeoJSON. I should have saved it beforehand. So while it's loading, I'll tell you about another view. Here on the screen, we have two lists. In one list, we have stats from Oracle, and in the other one, we have Postgres database statistics. And we can see that this data is updated once a second. And we want to look at this data in dynamics and curves, for instance. So that's what we can do. And that can be done by the end user, by the way. It can, so you can add a new curve to the graph. You can make it red, you can name it, and you can add it. So something started moving. Oh, sorry, I mixed red and green. So that the end user can see the dynamically updated information, can monitor some industrial sites, or you can also get some complex diagrams that have a visual editor added, and you can get different visuals with different indicators. Here we have statistics from Postgres and Oracle, and here there is a mix. Red is Oracle, blue is Postgres. So the map has loaded. Unfortunately, I have Wi-Fi connection. So that's what we can do in terms of drill down. I can click on some region, and the content on the map will change. So there are vast amped opportunities in terms of visual editing, in terms of visualizing images in 3D. We can have different curves. You can rotate this view. So that's what the end user can do. So I'll get back to presentation now. So that's what you have. So all kinds of diagrams that you have, and you can do the load test when you record a user scenario. Several user scenarios, and then you run several streams, and with the help of a diagram, we can demonstrate the bottlenecks in terms of performance. Now we are working on a matrix screen forms, like an input form and data representation in this view. So that's the recent thing. You can check out the details in our website, and herewith my presentation is complete, and I'm looking forward to your questions if you have any. On the website, you can download the demo versions for free, and you can try these tools out and ask the questions. And you can call, you can email, you can contact us the way you please. Okay, the questions are coming from the listeners. So the first question from Sim Yurevich, and the second one is from the same person. This acronym, LUI for RA to BG. who's licensing that, and is there an improvement in migration, or it's only web interface? Well, speaking of licensing, there are several sales, but we are not planning to make money on licenses. We give out this product. We give this product out, and we consult on the product, and we are customizing ourselves, and we are showing how to use it. As for OR2PG redistribution, we started working with the 20 version. Now it's version 21, and we found a number of errors. Some of them were fixed in version 21. We have not only fixed it, and Yulia Anatolovna will add to that, there were such situations when we had OR2PG scripts when we were modifying with our programs. Or maybe I'm wrong and Yulia can correct me. No, that's right. Right. Also, we have set a list of limitations or OR2PG. And as for and we are determining the limitations and distributing the work in such a way amongst the participants for them to be able to tackle those limitations. Is this a question? Yeah, it's the recommendations. Yeah, we make our own recommendations as well. Thank you. There is another question. Which licenses your two tools have, and will they be uploaded to GitHub? We are not ready to present the initial codes in GitHub yet. As for licensing rules and as for price, well, that you can check out in that website. For now, we are giving out the free versions. They do not have all the features available. The migration tool is not limited to terms of line. As for application development tool, there is a 3-month limitation. Probably we'll remove those limitations and we'll be distributing these tools for free, and there won't be any licensing. But as for initial code, we are not ready to provide it. We are not, well, due to clear reasons. It's a new product.